been exactly a week since Sheikh Hasina fled Bangladesh. The former Prime Minister continues to remain in an Indian military base near Delhi. Chaos, meanwhile, continues to reign in Bangladesh. A new interim government is struggling to maintain law and order. The police have vanished. The army is struggling to maintain law and order. There have been attacks on minorities, particularly Bangladesh's Hindu community. But there have also been two interesting developments which I'm going to focus on today. The first is how there's been a change in the Awami League's stance. From disarray, now there's a semblance of a fight back, particularly from Sajeeb Wazed, Sheikh Hasina's son. On the 5th of August, he issued a statement that neither Hasina nor her family would engage in politics. But on the 9th of August, he said he would be ready to enter politics if activists of the Awami League wanted him to. And interestingly, on the 10th of August, he said that Sheikh Hasina had not resigned as Prime Minister and that she could return to Bangladesh at some point. Now, the second interesting development are calls for Sheikh Hasina's deportation. Now, these are being made by a section of the student community and the BNP. These calls are still faint, but they could pick up in the days ahead. Joining me to discuss these developments today are Saleem Samad, joining us from Dhaka, Professor Asif Rameez Daudi, also from Dhaka, Chirayu Thakkar, geopolitical analyst, and in the studio at News9 Plus, here with me is my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Aditya, I want to start by asking you this. You've been tracking the situation in Bangladesh very closely. Give us a sense of what's going on the ground right now, particularly with the calls for deporting Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh.
Well, Sandeep, it's been exactly 7 days since Sheikh Hasina was forced to flee the country, forced to apparently resign. We still are not clear. We haven't seen the resignation letter. But there's been a transition. You could say some in Bangladesh say a democratic takeover.
Right.
Others would say that a violent takeover actually took place. History would judge by looking at it. But as of now, today, we have an interim government in power for the last 3 to 4 days. We have Dr. Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel laureate, one of the most famous Bangladeshi personalities globally, who's leading the government as a chief advisor. And he has 16 members in the advisory council who have been allotted different ministries. And Muhammad Yunus himself has 25 portfolios under him, several of them very, very critical for Bangladesh. And as we have been discussing over the last 7 days, the most critical aspect of this is how this transition really takes place, how stability and peace returns to Bangladesh, and when exactly will Bangladesh be in a position to have free and fair elections. Now, what we are discussing today is the fate of Sheikh Hasina and the future of Awami League political party. As the narrative goes, there have been a lot of twists and turns that have happened as far as Awami League and Sheikh Hasina are concerned. Hasina herself hasn't come out either in a video statement or any kind of a letter, etc., to really state facts from her point of view. We know that she is for the last 7 days at an Indian air base, very close to where we are right now. And she has been in engagement with the Indian government, perhaps some other governments also for a political asylum. But you know, her son, Sajeeb Wazed, has been taking a lot of U-turns. Initially, he said that, she will not be in politics, she's out. There was a larger belief that Sheikh Hasina's political career perhaps has ended and there is no looking back now. But now he says that he would be ready to enter politics if Awami League really wants him to. And Sheikh Hasina could return to Bangladesh at certain point of time if there is assurance that there would be security to her and free and fair elections in Bangladesh. But last point, there were reports that parts of a statement that Sheikh Hasina wanted to make in a video were leaked in the Indian media. Economic Times did a story, then it was followed by several Indian, Bangladeshi and international press also carrying it. It said that the US was responsible for the toppling of Sheikh Hasina government. But within hours, again her son came out and said that no such statement was made. What this points out to is one, perhaps a credibility crisis within the Awami League and the family, Hasina family. Secondly, what is the future that they are looking at? are they really looking at a political asylum in Europe, US,
Yes.
or other country, or are they returning to fight back
Right.
and actually claim power again, or actually at least exist in the politics of Bangladesh?
Absolutely. It's a fight for survival. It's a battle for survival for the Awami League, as Aditya just put it. But I'm going to ask Saleem Samad this question. Saleem, you're there literally in the heart of Dhaka. You've been following this developing story over the last week. Tell us, what is at stake right now for the Awami League, and what do you make of the U-turns that Sajeeb Wazed has been making in the last few days? Does this point to some kind of a fight back from the Sheikh Hasina family? The fact that earlier they said we had nothing to do with politics, we are out, we are seeking asylum in the West, but now, of late, there's been a change in the language. In fact, there's been a change in the kind of zoom frames that we are seeing with Sajeeb as well. We've seen his grandfather's T-shirts, him wearing his grandfather's T-shirts, taking a more political approach as opposed to what it was like earlier about a week ago. Is he hinting at the possibility of Sheikh Hasina's return? And what's the future of the Awami League party?
There is a phrase in our culture, I think it's also in India.
Yes.
It's mentioned about a boat. They have crossed the river, and they had sunk the boat at the end of when they had landed at the other side of the river.
Right.
So literally, Sheikh Hasina has not only damaged her career,
Yes.
and also had sunk the boat, the symbol of our Awami League. The Awami League is on the run, and majority are on the border, trying to cross the border, but of course they cannot. I'm hearing from BBC stories of not being able to be. Let's come to, Sajeeb Joy. Sajeeb Wazed Joy, in fact, of course, is a delinquent person, and I have met him a couple of times. I met him in Washington, I met him in Dhaka. He's a delinquent, means he's very rogue, he's very rude, and he doesn't listen to people. That's another problem. He knows
Right.
everything. He's like an encyclopedia on Bangladesh. So that is another problem, and of course, he dumped me, because dumped me means he stopped connecting with me. So that is, and but I understand that he is not suitable for politics. He is not
Right.
suitable to take the responsibility of our being. Sheikh Hasina tried with him. Sheikh
Yes.
Hasina had made him make a tour of Bangladesh, a different district town. He was a so-called chief guest, blah blah. But his deliberation was also very was not appealing to the people. Of course,
Right.
they admire. Coming to the issue of whether they can come back, it will be a little difficult. But again, let me tell you very frankly, I believe you did when you were in charge of India Today, and you made me to write an article about the dynasty politics in South Asia.
Yes.
I mean, if Sajeeb was a joy, again, it will be another dynasty politics. And I am not sure whether Delhi should continue to protect or appease a dynasty politics, which is totally absent in India now today. And of course, the other political parties also similar, is also dynasty politics, whether it's called PNP and the Jatiya Party. So again, we are coming back, and that's one of the reasons that students said that we had enough of this dynasty politics.
Yes.
We have enough with these two major political parties. We have to have an alternative. Of course, there is no outline has been made by any of these groups. But let me tell you about regarding the deportation. The students have already made couple of times, has mentioned, and Professor Yunus also once, before he took the oath, that if needed, they will request India to deport Sheikh Hasina to face the music of justice. That is very, very, very critical approach to these critical issues. Number one, the students also have said the same thing. The foreign minister or the foreign advisor just took a oath, and for the first time in his office also mentioned, if the law department or the Ministry of Law, they prosecute her, then they will definitely request India to deport her. If she is deported, don't expect that she will be at the airport and millions of people will be waving hands and saying Joy Bangla. She will be straight taken to the prison for face the justice. And like what has happened in Pakistan with Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the similar fate will be with Hasina. And I think she's a spent fuel. And
Right,
India has possibly understood
right.
that they had enough. So they have literally kept her in that base, which is a sort of like a house arrest. She's not allowed to go outside their base, not meet people, friends that he had in Delhi during the last, when she was in exile. So
Yes.
that has to also to be considered.
Sheikh Hasina, a spent force, interesting perspective from Saleem Samad. And the fact is, possibly she's in the airbase for her personal safety, Saleem. The fact that there have been, very grave threats to her life while she was in Bangladesh, and possibly elements here could be trying the same. But I want to ask Professor Asif Rameez this question now of the future of the Awami League, particularly under Sajeeb Wazed. If he chooses to take over the party, Saleem seems to suggest that he's not cut out for politics. In fact, that's the sense that we've also been getting here for the last couple of years. But could things really change now, given the fact that it is literally survival for a party that was founded by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1949 and played a very critical role in Bangladesh's independence movement in 1971? Professor Rameez?
Very true. In fact, when you talk about the future of Awami League, especially under the leadership of Sajeeb Wazed, I don't see anything as of now. In fact, they are trying to survive. It's the fight for survival,
Yes.
and they have fallen into to the extent that bouncing back at this juncture, at this point of time, is not possible. We remember, you mentioned about 1949. We remember 49 years ago, on 15th of August, how his father, was assassinated or killed. And chun chun ke marne wali jo
Yes,
baat
yes.
hoti hai,
Grandfather, his grandfather. Yes.
Grandfather, yeah. Chun chun ke marne ki baat.
Right.
Or kaise, 16 or 17 people from the same family, and Sheikh Hasina survived because she was in Germany with her sister.
Yes.
Okay. Now it took, let's say, when we talk about the cycle and when things rotate, from 1971, we come to 1996,
Yes.
when Sheikh Hasina becomes the prime minister.
Right.
So that's almost, let's say 20 years or 2 decades.
Yes.
Here, the thing, it's almost the same situation, but the difference, what I see here is it's from the public, people in democracy.
Yes.
When there are some sort of, protest of this sort, it's really very alarming. And
Right.
that's the reason she had to leave that country.
Right.
Initially, when I talked about 1975,
Right.
that time it was kind of official killing, you can say, like
Yes.
by the army or military. But this time there is a support, but it was from the public, people.
Right.
So it will take time. In democracy, another, good thing is that people, they forget things and they judge and they assess the governments and people, the different parties, and they change the swing is there. They change their
Yes.
mind, they change their likings and what they like, what they dislike. So there could be a possibility, let's say after 10, 15 years, I
Right.
can't see anything near, let's say in 5 years or 10 years,
Right.
that Sheikh Hasina or her son or
Yes.
Awami League, although they have the base there, around 30% of voters or support the base,
Right.
but now it has decreased. Now, after this situation, when everybody was trying to escape or save his or her own life belonging to that particular party, it's very difficult. We have seen, Mr. Saleem quoted about Pakistan situation. We know about Nawaz Sharif's situation, and he
Yes.
is the Prime Minister, Shahbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif's family. So now here the situation is like, even if we think about, fighting back,
Yes.
they are not in a position at this moment to even fight, to even stand up well.
Right.
So I think, in my opinion, we have to even think about the situation in a way that at least 1 decade or 10 years, I mean,
Right.
I can be, I may not be that
Yes,
realistic, but
10,
trust
10
me,
years, 10,
it's
15
not going to
years,
happen.
absolutely. It's not going to happen in a hurry, but if it does, it will happen in those long cyclical, cycles that you've mentioned, 10 years, 15 years perhaps. But I want to bring in Chirayu, who has been listening to this very patiently. Chirayu, what is the Indian government's role going to be in the next couple of days? Given the fact that you have Sheikh Hasina here at a military base very close to where we are sitting here right now, just down the road in fact. Does it make a rapprochement with the new regime in Bangladesh that much more difficult, given the fact that you're sheltering someone who's not very popular in Bangladesh right now, but could also be critical for a future dispensation? As Professor Rameez mentioned, that who knows, 5 years down the line, the people might have a rethink on the government of the day and say that, hey, listen, we want the Awami League back. Possibly just as the people of Iraq felt after Saddam Hussein was, deposed and murdered. What's your take on this, Chirayu?
Sandeep, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I think just yesterday or day before yesterday, I was with you, and Karthikeya was moderating the show.
Yes.
The ceremony was going live, and I think we discussed the same thing.
Yes.
You look at Iraq, you look at Afghanistan, and I specifically mentioned Ghani, that there was an anthropologist in Afghanistan, and now we have an economist in Bangladesh. So the situation is not very different.
Yes.
And people do initially, they might feel that there is a savior who is supported and who
Right.
is elevated by these foreign governments, especially great powers, but then they immediately get this bias removed.
Right.
I was also looking at the new cabinet, and they are all civil society members. With all due
Yes.
respect, they do great things in their own respective societies, but we have seen occasionally civil society members, they do not make good administrators and good politicians.
Right.
So that's another thing. And immediately, look, if you look at the nature of the protest, there were some students who were there for quota, but apart from that, there were other people who were just fed up of the Hasina government's 15-year rule. There was huge anti-incumbency.
Yes.
And part of it was that the economic growth that we saw in aggregate numbers, it did not trickle down to the lower half of the pyramid.
Right.
Now, it created certain discontent. And others who were joining, somebody would have been, the protest might be orchestrated by external powers and there, but there was also this natural sense of discontent.
Right.
And when new government comes, they do not have any magic wand either. I mean, you can be a good economist, but turning around a country's fate is no easy task. So, God knows what happens in another 18 months' time. And South Asia is no stranger to people, coming again and rising like a phoenix
Yeah.
from the low. We have seen Indira Gandhi, 2.5 years, everybody was
Absolutely.
yearning, despite emergency. There's one more thing that I want to add, Sandeep, here. You talked about talking to the regime in Dhaka.
Yes.
Now, I don't know who exactly the regime is right now. In Pakistan, we know that it is, the military that is playing a very overarching role. But
Yes.
here, we are not sure exactly what role the military wants to play, when they want to intend to hold an election, and when the new government will be there, or this government will continue for how long.
Right.
So, still questions remain. And lastly, it all depends. Aditya recently talked about the whole letter, and I think there's a little bit of kite flying that is done by Team Hasina.
Right.
And what they are trying to do is, in my opinion, they are trying to do another Imran. We have seen Imran going into
Yes.
that large protest and waving the this thing and saying that, look, I have got the cable. We were threatened that if you won't give the base, then
Right.
Pakistan.
Right.
Yes. I think she's trying to do another Imran and becoming martyr. And if
Yes.
that picks up the momentum, then India is making right bets. If it will not pick up the momentum, if this new administration makes some right moves, then I think India is betting on the wrong horse, and we'll have to see how things proceed in the next months. Next few
Absolutely.
months.
In fact, I'm going to ask Aditya this question. It must be a very tough choice between South Bloc right now, Aditya. But, give us a sense on the dilemma that, the foreign ministry, our foreign ministry is facing, as Chirayu mentioned, that do you back Sheikh Hasina and, encourage her to continue with the fight? Or do you say that, listen, it's time for you to find another sanctuary or something because we want to mend our bridges with the new regime in Bangladesh? Give us a sense on how this dilemma would play out possibly in the days ahead.
You know, Sandeep, firstly, there was a huge setback when this really happened. Nobody had predicted
exactly a week
the
ago.
pace of it,
yes.
how suddenly things will erupt. But once it happened, you know, one thing was very clear. You know, all the advisors of the government, especially at the National Security Council, Secretariat and the Ministry of External Affairs, that it would be a huge national security miscalculation if Sheikh Hasina continues to be in New Delhi. Because the larger population in Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh and perhaps army and security forces would also feel that we are backing Sheikh Hasina completely against the will or the larger mandate or at least the narrative that is being spread right now. Now the question is that where does Sheikh Hasina go? You know, as of now, no European country or UK voluntarily has come and said that we can give political asylum, as usually happens. You know, a lot of European countries or America, you know, voluntarily say that we will stand for your freedom of expression and give you political asylum. That hasn't really happened. India would have moved Sheikh Hasina from the military base to perhaps an apartment in South Delhi. And we know that her daughter herself is in Delhi. She could have stayed with her. That hasn't happened. Her being stranded at the airbase clearly is indicative of the fact that she's here momentarily. She'll have to leave, perhaps to Europe, perhaps to another place. But New Delhi cannot be that destination that can perhaps have a political moment, you know, in exile for Bangladesh running.
Absolutely. I think you've nailed the issue right here, Aditya. The fact that Hasina continues to remain in that Air Force base for a week actually paints to a very gloomy picture or a gloomy aftermath for both Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League party. And as our panelists have just told us that it's not just a fight back, possibly it is a fight for survival for the Awami League and Sheikh Hasina and her family that have ruled Bangladesh for the last 15 years. But thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen, on this installment of the News 9 Plus show. I'm now joined by TV9 Bharat Varsh's Manish Jha, who was the first Indian reporter to hit the ground in Bangladesh. Manish, welcome to the News 9 Plus show.
Thank you, Sandeep, for having me.
Manish, give us a sense of how bad things really are in Bangladesh at this moment. Is there a fear that's there among the people? Is there general anarchy? What is the situation like right now on the ground there?
You know, just now you were discussing something and you were saying that it's a survival for the Awami League party, but I believe that it's a survival for Bangladesh also. What kind of situation right now is here in Bangladesh? Because why I'm saying this? Because if you see, when Sheikh Hasina flee from here and then after that the interim government was formed, and the way the army and students are on the road and the way the system is functioning, let's see what happened, because I am sure that Dr. Yunus is very much under pressure to manage all these things. Obviously, the people of Bangladesh is also having lots of expectation from Dr. Yunus. But let me tell you one thing. For the last many days when I was reporting from Dhaka or some other places, like when I am talking to you, I am coming back from Meherpur, the place where ISKCON temple was vandalized, burned, and then I visited the border area which is adjoining by the Murshidabad and Krishna Nagar district from West Bengal. So these places are actually, you know, those places who are very much affected. Either you discuss about Khulna, Gopalganj and some other places. These places are where the Hindu communities are very much are around 5%, while the Muslim community are more than 95%. So you can imagine that when there was no police. But the good thing is, like today I saw some police personnel in police station. And trust me, after so many days, it was a sense of relief for me also, because I didn't see any police personnel for many days. So when I saw them, it was a kind of relief for me also and for obviously the local residents, because in absence of police, the rioters had free hand. They were doing whatever they want to do. But of course, this is also fact that lots of person or the leaders from the Muslim community are also coming forward. They are helping to the minority community. I saw it in Dhakeshwari temple also when I met some senior Jamaat leader. They told me that the Jamaat chief also instructed them to do some kind of security arrangement for Dhakeshwari temple. At the same time, they are doing something to give assurance to minority community. But at the same time, when I am talking to the minority community, they are saying that since the government is vulnerable, so that's why they have apprehension that how they will survive and what are the options they have. So such kind of situation right now is here. But of course, the things are improving. So I can say that situation is tense, but it is still under control.
Situation is tense and still under control. But Manish, tell us this, how are you being viewed in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, as an Indian journalist there? Are Indians the target of any hostility? Do you detect anything against you on the ground? What is the language of the street at the moment when it comes to New Delhi and India?
This is reality that right now I feel lots of anti-India sentiments here. Most of the sentiments was because the Sheikh Hasina is in Delhi NCR, and that's why even some girl students were asking to me, "और बताइए हसीना जी कैसी हैं आपके यहाँ?" So it was a kind of comment that India is hiding Sheikh Hasina, and that's why the students are very much angry. And it is actually a challenge for government of India also to make a good communication with Gen Z of Bangladesh, the new generation, the students who lead this protest, who actually are the poster boy of this whole movement, and they want to establish a relationship in a new way with the government of India and people of India also. They were angry that because their movement is more or less projected in India as an anti-minority movement, and that's why they are angry. Obviously, their grievances are exaggerated, they were saying lots of things which is totally baseless, but still they had some apprehension, they had some valid reason, and especially because India had a very good relation with Bangladesh government, the then government, when the Sheikh Hasina was Prime Minister, and but when Sheikh Hasina ran away from here, after that the protesters targeted all the leaders related to Awami League, and that's why right now they see that India is actually helping Sheikh Hasina, and which is not welcome here. So when I was talking to them, and they were saying, okay, you are from Indian media, normally we don't want to talk to you because you are with Sheikh Hasina kind of sentiments. They have, but at the same time, if you see that those students are actually running the government right now, even running the country. If you go anywhere from Dhaka to Khulna to Meherpur or any other places, we find that students are actually managing traffic, students are actually managing the whole kind of government affairs right now. So the students are actually the main stakeholder right now. Now the question is how the government of India will establish a communication with students, especially when students consider government of India as a friendly ally of Sheikh Hasina. I was telling them that it is not a case, because the interest of people of Bangladesh is the priority of government of India. It's not matter because the Sheikh Hasina was in power. That's why the government was dealing with her. Now the new government has come, and the Prime Minister Modi has already wished Dr. Yunus when he took over the government. So I was telling them, more or less I can tell you that the anti-India sentiments are growing, and some of the organizations are actually fueling those sentiments. Let's see how it goes. If you allow me, I can do one comparison. Like I still remember whatever happened in Ukraine in 2014, the way it was started and then it become anti-Russia movement. The same kind of feeling right now I am observing while I am going from one place to another place in various parts of Bangladesh.
Manish Jha there bringing us a rather alarming report from the ground in Bangladesh about the fueling of anti-India sentiments from the ground. Development that he says could just increase over the next couple of days, because there are certain vested interests that are fueling this. But thank you very much for bringing those dispatches to us, Manish. My advice to you would be just stay safe, my friend, and keep bringing us the news from Bangladesh while you're at it. Thanks for joining us. Kannada superstar Darshan Togudipa has been in judicial custody over the last 2 months for the alleged murder of his fan. Now, a crucial piece of evidence has emerged linking him to the murder of his fan Renuka Swami. Sources claim that the FSL report that is to be submitted in the court has evidences of blood stains of the deceased on the actor's clothes. We don't know the authenticity of this claim yet, but if it's true, this could be yet another nail in the coffin for the actor's case. And to talk about this, I have with me my colleague Mohammad Wajiullah. And also joining us is former Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Nagaraj. Vaji, I want to start by asking you this. How important is this evidence that the Karnataka police have presented in the court? How does this link Darshan to this alleged murder of his fan?
Well, Sandeep, like you said, if this information is true, because this is what we've got from our sources, that the bloodstains of Renuka Swami have been found in the on the clothes of Darshan Togudipa, and if this is true, then it's actually the nail in the coffin of the entire Darshan case, because as of now, what the police has is statement from the 17 people who have directly implicated Darshan to be one of the prime suspects in this entire matter. Now, the police has 90 days to submit a charge sheet, after which we will see the trial starting. The reason that they were waiting for before they filed the charge sheet was this FSL report. Now, if this FSL report is in their favor and it implicates Darshan, then we will see a charge sheet filed up by the police very soon in the next 30 days of time that they have left, because it's more than 53 days as of now since Darshan is in the custody of judicial custody. So in the next 40 days is what they have to file a charge sheet. After that, we'll see the trial happening. But this piece of evidence especially is very big, because that is where the entire crime is. If Darshan claims that he was not present there, then how come Renuka Swami's bloodstain is on his clothes? So if it's there, that means he was present there. Now all they have to do is to collaborate the mobile call data records and to see if the signals are there from the same spot where this entire incident happened, then collaborate CCTV and make a strong case against Darshan, and that is what the police will be doing in the next couple of days with this piece of evidence from the FSL report that they have.
Absolutely. Another clincher for the police in connecting superstar Darshan to this case. But Vaji, moving away from this case, what is the impact going to be on Darshan's career as a Kannada superstar? Can he ever come out of this? There's been no superstar in Indian cinema who's been directly implicated in a case as shocking as this. We have the case of Salman Khan, but that was a hit and run case where, and of course the Black Buck case, but this is a direct murder that he's accused of. Tell us whether he can actually emerge out of this, or is his career as we know it over?
Well, Sandeep, for an actor, everything is his fans. If his fans continue to believe that he is not somebody who's done this, and even if he's somebody who's done it, his intention was to teach him a lesson, and they believe if it is right, then the fans will continue to stand with Darshan and his popularity will not diminish. And even in the case of Salman, we've seen that the popularity of Salman just continued to rise after the Black Buck case. He's one of the biggest stars. Sanjay Dutt, after guns were formed, after the Bombay blast, he again is a big star. So this will somewhere may not be a hindrance, but it will also be some learning lesson for Darshan, because it's the second time he's going to jail. But this time, because it's a murder case, it's something bigger than the other cases that he's gone. So he'll be there in jail for a very long time. From what I see, it's hypothetical, but if we see the case and if we see the Darshan side and how they will fight, max to max, they will try to come and to a position where it will come to a point, it will be culpable homicide, not with the intention of murder. because that is the max they can come down to, is what I believe. But however the case moves forward, it's for the judge to decide.
Absolutely.
We can only come to conclusion on what can happen with the present scenarios, because we've been seeing this day in and day out.
Right.
So this is what we believe could happen. But for Darshan, because his fans continue to be outside the jail, even now, even 54 days,
Yes.
they're still there. There are a lot of people who are performing pujas. I read a report yesterday where 1,000 people have taken young children to Tirupati to do puja for Darshan. So this
Right.
fan frenzy will continue to make him popular in the coming days. What
Absolutely.
happens is the time will tell us. But
Time will tell, but
right
I'm going to ask ACP Nagaraj this. ACP Nagaraj, this evidence that the prosecution has presented in the Darshan case, linking this superstar to the murder, the fact that there was bloodstains on his clothes, bloodstains of the victim found on the clothes that Darshan was wearing that night. How does this implicate him in the murder? Is it an open and shut case from your perspective now?
Obviously, because bloodstains found on the person who is supposed to be there with him at the point of whatever the incident. If the blood is definitely ante-mortem, not post-mortem.
Right.
If that is so, if that is proved, it becomes evident that he was there in the given point of time in the nearby vicinity, not on the vicinity, with the close proximity of the deceased.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, he cannot escape from it because blood stains, not only stains will be proved just like that by color, even by DNA and other means, blood group and all that. So if that is the thing, it is a conclusive proof that he was there and he had come in contact with him at that given point of time of that fatal moment.
Right.
Number three is that it's all based in this case. It is not a right time to speak about the exact evidence, what is there on paper, but we can speculate. People are, gossiping around and they can speculate any number of things. But once it is filed before the court after 90 days, or before 90 days rather, then we will come to know what is there exactly on the paper about FSL report, about the postmortem report, and other faculties supporting the investigation or the IO. They will speak. That will have a definite evidence against this fellow. That evidence will come to know only when they file the charge sheet, because that will become on the public domain. The court also will allow anybody to access to the information. Unless and until that has come to our hands, we cannot speculate like this. Even if you speculate and if it is true, let me tell you, as an IO, for almost 37 years, investigated many cases, including of this sort. Definitely, we have to go by the charge sheet.
Absolutely, we have to go by the charge sheet.
Charge sheet will be filed only when in every aspect of the whatever the material that put forth.
Absolutely, and this just gives you
has been proved conclusively.
Yes. Absolutely.
Conclusively, at least in the point of law. So
right.
Then only they put forth before the court. Court
absolutely.
will come to the conclusion after trial.
Right.
See, trial is again a long process.
Yes.
It will not happen overnight, and it takes time.
Right. It takes time, and
whether he has to be
tracking this. I'm sorry, ACP Nagaraj, we're completely out of time, but thank you very much for putting that into perspective. These new so-called revelations in the Darshan Togodwipa case, where the prosecution has brought in crucial evidence to connect the actor to the place of the crime and indeed the murder of his fan. But that's a story that we'll be tracking very closely as we follow this bizarre case from the Kannada film industry. Thank you very much for joining us.